Okay, so welcome back to part 2 of our security topic. Okay, so last time, previously, we ended on security services. Okay, and then also in the previous part, we also looked at some of the attacks, okay, or threats that we may actually encounter. So now today we move further by looking at some of the security mechanisms that we can actually bring or put in place in order for us to be able to prevent, to detect and recover from a security attack. Okay, so generally a security mechanism deals with prevention, detection and recovery from a security attack. Okay, so when you're looking at prevention, this particular aspect involves mechanisms to prevent the computer from being damaged. Okay, so and then detection, on the other hand, requires mechanisms that allow detection of when, how, and by whom an attack actually occurred. So we want to be able to trace, okay, when did an attack happen? Okay, when and how did it happen, and by whom an attack occurred? Okay, and then also recovery. So this one involves a mechanism to stop the attack, okay, and assess the damage done, then repair the damage. Okay, so now one form of mechanism that is available out there today is what we call cryptography. So one form of mechanism that we can put in place or that is there is what we call as cryptography. Okay, so generally cryptography is a science of writing information in a hidden or secret form. Okay, and this one is basically an ancient art. So when you're looking at cryptography, you're basically looking at the fact that you are hiding something that can be decrypted later on. Okay, so it's basically hiding information. So cryptography is necessary when communicating data over any network, particularly the internet. So provided we're always in the cyberspace, we're sending information to and from, what is being sent there should always be encrypted. Okay, so that is what we are looking at here. Okay, and then it protects the data in transit and also the data stored on the disk. Okay, so it hides information. Okay, and then there are different types of cryptography schemes available. Okay, so how do we encrypt? So basically, you're looking at different forms of encryption. Okay, so these are the schemes. Okay, so cryptography uses different schemes for encryption of data. Okay, so these schemes constitute a pair of algorithms which creates the encryption and decryption as well as the key. Okay, so we'll not really go into detail in expanding on these particular terms, but what we should understand is that when you're performing an encryption and a decryption, there is always all forms of algorithms that actually help us do this. Okay, and then when you look at a key, it's basically just a secret parameter, a string of bits, for example, okay, for a specific message exchange content. Okay, so when I send a message, okay, as a sender, okay, when you're looking at cryptography regarding with whichever kind of a scheme I decide to utilize, okay, so when I send something, okay, I'm going to actually perform an encryption, okay, and then I'm going to have a particular key, okay, that is going to do that. And then also when when the receiver gets hold of the message, they are actually going to decrypt that also using a particular key. Okay, so the three cryptographic schemes that are available are the secret key cryptography, the SKC, okay, and then we also have a public key cryptography, PKC. Then we also have the hash functions. Okay, so all these actually, their main goal is to be able to encrypt and decrypt information that is being transmitted over a network. Okay, and then digital signature, okay, is actually a form of cryptography as well. Okay, so if you look at the digital signature, basically, yeah, you're looking at, let's give an example of a physical signature. Okay, you write a document and then you sign against that. So when you are signing, you're saying that you've actually or you are the one that has written that information. You are verifying, or you're telling us to say you are the one that did this. You're the one that wrote information against this. Okay, so you are signing against a certain document as a form of verification. Okay, you're telling us that you are the originality, you are the owner of this document that you are sending. Okay, so now when you look at a digital signature, on the other hand, it's just something that is, of course, digital, okay, as the name itself. Okay, so a signature, it can be on a legal document, it can be on a financial document, or any other document, okay, that basically authenticates the document. Okay, so a photocopy of that document does not count, so you don't count a photocopy, no. Okay, so now for computerized documents, the conditions that a signed document must hold are that the receiver is able to verify the sender who is the owner of this message. Okay, so you're trying to basically verify the sender, okay, or the originality of this document. Okay, and then also that the sender cannot later repudiate the contents of the message. You are the one that has sent this information, so there's no way at the end of the day you can say that you're not the one that sent it. Okay, and then also the receiver cannot concoct the message himself. Okay, so this is what a digital signature is able to do. So basically, you are trying to send a document. Okay, so this document, we want to be able to prove that it's coming from A, okay, and then also being sent to B, and that when B receives, they will verify that A is the one that sent this document. Okay, so there are many examples of digital signatures out there. Okay, so um, we can have, I can give an example of a digital signature in Microsoft Word. Okay, I don't know if we have had a chance to be able to see that. So I'll assume we don't know that. Okay, so let's just, let me see if I can share my Word document with you people. Okay, let me see if I can share my Word document. Okay, okay, so I want to send this document, for example, okay, and to somebody else. Okay, so now I want to be able to add a signature here. Okay, I'm going to add a hidden signature. Okay, so to do that, I'll simply go on File, and then I'll go on Document Protect. Okay, and then I'll add digital signature here. So the message there says that ensure the integrity of the document by adding an invisible digital signature. Okay, so what is the commitment type here? Okay, so I'm the person that approved this document, or am I the person that created this document? Okay, or I created and approved this document. Okay, and then also what's the purpose of signing this document? Okay, so I want integrity to be upheld. Okay, so you can write anything there. Okay, and then to include information about the signer. So if I want to add other details further, okay, I can even include more details there. Okay, I can include more details. I can add my address, okay, and other information that can be included. Okay, yeah, so once I do that, so you can see here signing as. So what is being seen here as user one is basically the name that I've actually registered my laptop with. So the name that appears here is the one that your laptop bears. Okay, so I can actually change it if I want. Okay, if I want, I can change. Okay, but then I don't have time for that. Okay, so I can actually view the certificate properties themselves. Okay, okay, and then also, okay, I can see the type of encryption that has happened there. Okay, so this is a certificate there. Okay, issued by my, issued to user one. Okay, and then it also shows the valid, the what's this, the time frame on how valid this particular certificate is actually going to be. Okay, so once I do that, then I click OK, and then I can say sign. Okay, so you see your signature has been successfully saved with this document. So if the document is changed, your signature will become invalid. So meaning, if this document, once I sign against it and someone alters it, then definitely the digital signature ceases to exist. So, okay, so it already shows that this is basically a signed document. Okay, so this document has been signed and marked as fine. It should not be edited. So if anyone tampers with this document, the signature will become invalid. Okay, so this is a digital signature, and I can send this document to another person. They'll be able to see it. When they actually open it, they'll see this information. Okay, and then they can check for who actually the sender is. Okay, they can actually do that. Okay, so the valid signature is from this particular person and they signed it on this day. Okay, so that is an example of a digital signature. Okay, yeah. So we want to be able to send a document, but at the same time, we want to be able to verify who the sender is. Okay, and then also, because they're the ones that send, we don't want them to be able to change or deny that they're not the originators of the message. Okay, so a digital signature scheme is a type of asymmetric cryptography. Okay, so it uses the public key cryptography, which employs two keys, the private key and the public key for sending and receiving. Okay, so the digital signature scheme typically consists of three algorithms. It has an algorithm for key generation, an algorithm for signing the document, and then also an algorithm for signature verification. Okay. Okay, another form of security mechanism is basically a firewall. Okay, so a firewall is a mechanism that is used to protect a local network from the threats it may face while interacting with other networks or the internet. Okay, so we are basically trying to look at what traffic is coming into our network and then want to filter. Okay, so a firewall can be in form of a hardware component, it can be a software component, or a combination of both. Okay, so it further prevents computers in one network domain from communicating directly with other network domains. Okay, and then also all communication takes place through the firewall, so which examines all incoming traffic or data before allowing it to enter a local network. Okay, so it has to filter what is uh, coming in. Okay, so in case of any malicious suspicions, you can actually filter that using a firewall. So there are different types of firewall depending on a particular network. Okay, so all these firewalls are actually used for different, or they vary in terms of their usage, okay, as well as the types. So now the following are the various types of firewalls that are generally used. So we have what we call a packet filter firewall, we have a circuit filter firewall, and then we also have a proxy server or application level gateway. Okay, so now in our time, in our spare time, I know we haven't really gone in detail to explain on this. Okay, you can look them up or refer to the modules that will be sent to you. Okay, and then the other form of security mechanism is user identification and authentication. This is very important for systems, basically. Okay, so identification is a process whereby a system recognizes a valid user's identity. Okay, so how can you verify a valid user's identity? That is why it's always important to perform registration for the very first time you access a certain system so that your information is captured. The next time you want to access it, we have to verify that you are indeed the person that was registered for. Okay, so we want to be able to authenticate. Okay, are you indeed the person you're claiming to be? Okay, so mostly we use the user password identification scheme. Okay, so we want to verify the correct password as well as the username. Are they valid? Okay, sometimes it may be a valid user, but you forget your password, okay, or your email. Okay, so what do? You always, a properly designed system should always allow for features such as forget, where you are able to go there and try to recreate a new password, of course, following certain procedures. Okay, so username and password, this one is a common combination. Okay, and then also this one is a very common combination of it's a common combination that is mostly a method used for us using under identification and authentication. Okay, so for you to be able to access certain information or resources, you first of all require to provide a username and a password. Okay, so again, it takes us back to the fact that you have been first of all registered. Okay, and then now for you to come back and access the same information, you have to prove yourself. Okay, so that is what the username and password scheme basically endeavors to do. So now some password hints. Okay, how do you create a password? Okay, how do you prevent yourself from being attacked? Okay, so some actions that can be taken to make the password safer are as follows. Okay, I always advise people actually to change passwords periodically. Okay, I'm glad our system here at work, okay, has an ability, okay, to be able to remind us that maybe in the next 10 days or so, your password will expire. You can now change. Okay, why do they do that? They know, they understand what goes out there in the cyberspace. Okay, if you keep using the same password over and over, it's very possible that someone can actually guess, okay, and be able to actually perform all sorts of attacks on you. Okay, so periodically changing passwords therefore decreases chances of cracking passwords. Okay, because maybe the one that they had in mind has actually been changed, so it's not going to be easy for them to be able to crack it. Okay, and then also make passwords complex. Okay, where you mix all different characters from uppercase, lowercase, use numbers and other special characters. This also decreases an ability of automated attacks by increasing possible character combinations. Okay, and then also avoid using your names in your passwords. Avoid using your names in your passwords. Why? Hackers are very clever. They know that we are very lazy. Can we like something that is straightforward? So mostly they go for we go for our names, we go for our birthdays. Okay, so avoid using that. Just come up with something that you're going to be able to remember. Okay, but of course with a mixture of different characters and not bearing your names. Okay, and then also use longer passwords so as to create exponentially higher number of permutations and combinations of characters used, so making them difficult to break. Okay, so of course, if you can't master a very long password, it's always also advisable to write it somewhere, not really where other people actually be able to have access to. Okay, so if you have a text editor, for example, on your laptop or on your phone, just write it somewhere and then save it for yourself so that every time you have access to a certain system, you can actually get back to that. Okay, and then also be cautious not to leave passwords lying around and don't share them with friends. Okay, so let's be careful. Okay, let's find means and ways of safeguarding our passwords. Okay, let's store them securely so that we don't have them lying around, and then also don't share with our friends just because they're your best friend. Okay, you cannot always trust them with trusted information. Okay, so please look out for these password hints. Okay, another form of a security mechanism is also a smart card. Okay, so a smart card is just basically a pocket-sized card that has some integrated circuits embedded on them. Okay, and their use is just basically to process data. Okay, so smart cards have a unique ability to store large amounts of data and carry their own card functions. Okay, so there are certain organizations that you cannot actually access or enter unless you have a certain smart card. Okay, that will provide some form of authentication. Okay, that you are indeed the person that is actually supposed to access a certain building. Okay, so and then it interacts intelligently with a smart card reader. Okay, so for as long as it's in the right possession, in the right person's hands and so on, okay, they'll authenticate you against that information. Okay, and then there are also what we call biometric techniques. Okay, so biometrics is just basically the science and technology of ensuring that statistically analyzing um, biological data. Okay, so this technology, okay, in IT basically measures and analyzes human traits for authentication. So instead of us always using the passwords that we know, password and username, you can also use your human traits, okay, such as the fingerprints, such as the eye retinas, the irises, the voice patterns, facial patterns, and other hand measurements that they can look out for. Okay, so this is basically for authentication purposes. Okay, so for example, okay, my voice is unique. Okay, so if I use my voice as a form of authentication, it means that somebody who wants to access my information cannot do that unless they are, of course, possessing supernatural powers. Then they can access my system, of course, by mimicking my voice. Okay, but what we're trying to emphasize there is when we use these human traits, it's very, 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 very difficult. Chances are that, in fact, the person will not even have access to your information because unless they grab you, okay, they actually kidnap you, okay, and then force you to actually maybe put your face there on a system and so on, then they can have access to it. But this is an extra security measure of authentication. Okay, so for as long as you don't have my fingerprints, for as long as you don't have my facial patterns, my eye retina, my fingerprints, and so on, you are not going to be able to be authenticated against my information for as long as I'm not there. Okay, so this is what biometric techniques basically do. They analyze human traits, okay, and use that for authentication. And then other security measures are, of course, intrusion detection systems, virus protection software such as antiviruses, data and information backups. It's always important to back up information. Okay, and then also secure socket layers. Okay, we have the IPsec protocols. Okay, all these are a way of ensuring that there's some levels of security in a particular system. Okay, and then lastly, also security policies. These are very important, especially in organizations. Okay, so when you're looking at a security policy, it's just a formal statement. Okay, where you write in English. Okay, the overall expectations as an organization, the goals and objectives that you want to be achieved as regards the technology usage, the system, as well as information. Okay, so I'll give an example as here to be, okay, the first thing that you get to do as a new student, okay, is that you have to be registered for you to be able to access our system. That's a policy. You cannot have somebody who is not a student at CBU to have access to the system. Okay, so you always have something laid down, the goals that you want, okay, how you want your systems to be used, how a network should be utilized, how technology should be accessed. For example, only CBU students can access the computer lab. So that is a policy. Okay, why are we saying that? In case of anything, in case of theft, okay, we definitely know where to run to. Okay, and also for us to be able to allow you on our network, you have to be somebody that is also registered in our system and somebody that also maybe has computers configured by our IT team. Okay, so why are we doing that? We are avoiding all these forms of threats and attacks by untrusted people. Okay, so policies actually guide us on how we should be able to use these technologies. And then for as long as there's a policy in your institution that has been signed for, and then you breach one of the contents in the policy, then of course certain measures will be put across. So to be practical and implementable, so policies must be defined by standards, the guidelines and procedures. So of course, as these policies are being formulated, there's always a standard, okay? There are always guidelines and procedures that have to be followed, okay? And then also these standards, guidelines and procedures provide specific interpretation of policies and instruct the users, they instruct the customers, they instruct the technicians, the management, and other third-party users on how to implement the policies. Okay, so policies are always guided by standards, okay, the guidelines as well as required procedures. So basically, it's always and always important to formulate policies in an organization, okay, so that you put up certain measures, okay, that people should follow in as they use your network, okay, as they use your computer systems, as they use information, okay? We want guidelines. Okay, so these are basically the policies that we are putting in place. Okay, all these are actually a form of a security mechanism. Okay, we only want maybe authorized users to access our network. We only want registered students. We only want registered employees. Okay, when we put up those policies, at least we're reducing the chances of security breaches. Okay, unless otherwise amongst ourselves as employees, as students, there's somebody who has malicious intents. Okay, but for as long as everything is laid down, it's easy for us to get to the bottom of that particular incident. Okay, so this is what security policy as a security mechanism basically does. Okay, so we put up guidelines. Okay, we are restricting usage of technology, this system, as well as access of information. Okay, so this marks the end of our part two of security. Okay, so I hope and trust that you've learned one or two things. And then in case where you don't understand something, please be sure to send or drop your comments or question using our Google Classroom platform. Then we'll be able to attend to you, or you can write down your questions, and then the next time we meet physically, then you can bring your questions, and then we'll be able to attend to them. Okay, so please, 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 we have a third wave of COVID-19 now. Adhere to all the health guidelines. Okay, mask up, social distance, and always sanitize. Okay, so have a pleasant day. From me, Mrs. Banda, and my entire team, God bless.